A very warm welcome to each one of you to this exciting and insightful workshop, Powerful Storytelling, Key to Audience Engagement, organized by TiE Mysuru. I am Spurti Anand, student member from GSSS IETW, and I'm truly honored to be your host for the evening. Before we dive into the evening, let's loosen up with a quick and fun activity, like an icebreaker. Ready? Okay. So I'll say a few random words, and all you have to do is think of the very first experience or probably scenarios which comes to your mind. Ready? So here we go. Journey. Journey. It's journey. Okay. So the second word is mentor. Right. Next word is change. Then this word is, the favorite for all the entrepreneurs here, risk. Next. Next one is a freshly brewed coffee. Interesting, right? It's amazing how just one word can interestingly trigger stories in your mind, isn't it? That's the magic of storytelling, and that's exactly what today's workshop is all about. So, to officially kick off this memorable evening, I invite Mr. Bhaskar Kalale, President of TiE Mysuru, for the welcome address and opening remarks.
Purti, good evening to everybody. Thanks for again spending your valuable Saturday afternoon and evening with us. But I'm sure that what you're going to hear today or learn from Sachin today is going to be something that you will probably carry with you for the rest of your lives as well. So as we spoke last time when we met, I mentioned that one of the things that we are trying to do different this year in TiE Mysuru is to actually bring what we call Founders Toolkit series. So this particular session is a part of the Founders Toolkit series where we want to empower young or old entrepreneurs, doesn't matter, or business leaders for that matter, empower them and equip them, more than empowering, equip them with skills that are required for them to be good business leaders, right? So good founders, good business leaders, good entrepreneurs, etc. And I think about a month and a half ago, I see Ravi Shankar sitting here. He conducted a great workshop or a talk about product positioning, product and services positioning. And subsequently, we had another session from Ravi Shankar. I forget the topic. What? Mentorship. Right. Thank you. So the reason for conducting that program or requesting Ravi, who is an experienced mentor, is mentorship is something that is that's also a skill that we felt was lacking on not enough available in Mysore, and therefore we had that mentorship program, and we'll continue to have those going forward as well as and when required. However, today's session, and hopefully we can actually follow it up with a number of different in the same series. Storytelling is obviously something that is very, very important for everybody. Particularly if you are going to be standing in front of a crowd and you need to engage with them, whether you are a salesperson or you are pitching for funding or you are pitching to a new employee or you are pitching your new startup idea to get a very important person on board with you, either as a co-founder or as an employee or whatever. So the storytelling is something that's very critical, right? So some people have natural ability or inherent ability to tell very, very powerful stories. Most of us don't. So that is where Sachin and his team is going to be helping us out. But before we actually get there and I hand it over to Sachin, it is a very packed day today for us. But very quickly, I wanted to give you guys an update as I did last time as well, as to what has happened over the last month and a half since we met. We are now launching a program called Campus to CEO. So Campus to CEO the Campus to CEO program essentially is to tap students at a very young age and nurture them as entrepreneurs, starting literally from their first year itself. So we are yet to work on the details of the minute details of this, but where it stands right now is we have already had a series of meetings with all the educational institutions who are members of TiE Mysuru. They have already nominated the SPOC, this the primary point of contact for us, and we are going to be working with them. So the idea is to create a cohort of 80 to 100 students and capture them young, get them before they start to think about going and fetching a job for themselves during their third year or fourth year or whatever it is, but ignite the fire in their belly to be the entrepreneur, to decide, to help them decide that entrepreneurship could potentially be my calling of the day and so on. So we want to catch them young, but that is something that more details will come. It is going to be a much larger program, so a little slow to move, but we have already made the beginning as far as that particular program is concerned, and we are calling it Campus to CEO. The other one that is brewing right now, and hopefully it will happen in the month of June, is we are partnering with KEDM, and it's a Government of Karnataka organization. For those of you who are not familiar with KEDM, it stands for Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, where government is trying to push, as a part of the Beyond Bengaluru initiative, push a lot of the companies to come to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And Mysore is one of those sectors or one of those clusters. Others being, the Bangalore, for example, is the other cluster. Now, what we plan to do with this one is there are about 7 or 8 Government of Karnataka policies to aid entrepreneurs or early stage startups with various grants and help from Government of Karnataka. There are 7 or 8 policies. For example, there is a policy for startup, there is a policy for biotech, there is a policy for IT, there is a policy for GCC, which is Global Capability Centers, etc. But not many people know about this, right? So we want to bring that to the fore. We want to make it available to public in a larger setting. So that is going to happen in a much bigger way, and we are calling Mysore Big Tech Show. That will happen in the month of June. So obviously, we just literally have only 2 months, so we need to start working on it. One of the other initiatives that we did over the last month or so is to talk to a lot of the committees, formation of the committees that we wanted, and thank you to all of the people who have offered their help and volunteered to be heading or coach-chairing various committees, and we will show that in a minute. Without people's participation, we can't move forward, right? So I can't do enough of that. Mahesh Katale is also cannot do. So I appeal to all of you to come forward. The more you give to TiE, the more you're going to get back. That is how you have to look at it. So it's very easy to come and sit and then enjoy the programs, but also it's very important that you please come forward and contribute in whichever way you want or you can. I think that is what I would like to appeal to everybody. The last one is today is we also have built a new website for TiE Mysuru. TiE continues to be a part of TiE Global. We also have a specific dedicated page on the TiE Global website, which is tie.org. So if you want to go to the global website, Mysore specific page on the global website, you simply go to mysuru.tie.org. If you want to look at the TiE Global, then you just go to tie.org, tie.org. But we wanted a lot more to be communicated and to engage with our members here. So therefore, we decided to have our own website, which is going to be still, look and feel and everything is still going to be following the same color scheme and the concept, etc., or the structure, etc., of the global website, but it gives us a lot more control on what we want to convey and how we want to engage with our members, right? So we call it what, TiEMysuru.org. Is that what we, So we got the domain, registered about 2 months ago, and Adarsh and his team have been helping us with building that website. It is now ready to be launched today. It's a phase 1 that we are launching. There is a lot of other feedback that we got from some of the closed group sessions that we had, focus group sessions that we have had. So we'll incorporate those as well. But we welcome your feedback on that website. It is to serve you as members, right? So please give your feedback just as you have given your feedback about the newsletter. It's important that we get your feedback on the website as well. All right, so just sit back. I think what's the next one, Spurti? Okay, all right. So I hand it back to Spurti. So please enjoy, and I know Sachin is raring to go. It is a little busy today. We are packing more than what we usually do into 2.5 hours that we have, but he will have his enough of his time, hopefully. Thank you.
Setting the tone for the evening. Let's now take a moment to welcome the newest additions to the TiE Mysuru family. We are delighted to introduce our new charter members, Ms. Salma Musa, Mr. Jaiprakash Chopra, Mr. Ashok Meda, and our associate members, Mr. Pawan Suresh, Mr. Anup A, Mr. Pratap HR, Mr. Sharad Kaushik. A very warm welcome to each one of you. We are excited to have you on board and look forward for your active involvement and the value you'd bring to our vibrant community. Now, we'd love each one of you to take a moment to briefly introduce about yourselves. Please share a bit about your background, your professional journey, and what brings you to TiE.
Hi, everybody, and good evening, Mysuru. Mysuru is where my heart is. That's where it is. I'm a Bangalore product, born, brought up, but I've always, always fallen in love with Mysuru. So the reason I'm here is to, one, become a part of this ecosystem, but I am a mentor, and I'm an execution support services mentor. Basically, getting shit done is my job. Anything that comes as a challenge to you as a business owner, overcoming it, breaking it into solutions, executing those solutions and making it an opportunity is what I do. Lot more to get from me, lot more to give to all of you. 3 decades, I call myself a dinosaur in business. So please reach out to me if you need anything. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Time to launch our new TiE Mysuru website. I request the charter members to come to the dais to take the dais and launch the website.
So can you scroll back up to the top, please? So there are plenty of other pages for you to explore. So about TiE talks about TiE Global as well as TiE Mysuru, what we do, etc. And then TiE initiatives, various initiatives we have, and you can explore. We are not going to go through each one of those pages. And then Founders Toolkit is where you will find hopefully a lot of the resources that are useful for you, right? So and we'll enrich it as we go along. It could be as simple as how to create a pitch deck to how to build a story. Now, what Sachin is going to talk about, and hopefully a lot of other policies and grants and various funding opportunities that exist. That is what is going to come here. For example, you see. What is a term sheet? What should you be looking for term sheet? We'll also add things like what is a cap table. I don't know how many of you know what a cap table is, but cap table, you should go and do Google. So I'm not going to be staying here. So have a sense of curiosity to go and Google it. Please. Right? No, I think they can hear me without this. Right, anyway, so events and the newsletters and membership. Okay, so that's all, and now I'll hand it over to. So thank you very much. Please explore. This is mobile optimized as well, so you should be able to look it up on your mobile. And if you have any challenges with looking at any of the pages, please let us know. Thank you.
And congratulations to the entire team for this milestone. It gives me immense pleasure to invite Mr. Anil Kumar, Associate Member of TiE Mysuru, to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's workshop, Mr. Sachin Bhandary, founder of the Story Co. and Story Club.
Once upon a time, that's how all the stories begin, right? I mean, the great stories. So, not with hi, today is an agenda, or agenda for today, whatever it is. So, today, I will do the intro the way the speaker would love, like a story. Because telling story is literally what he does for living. ನಮ್ಮ ಅಜ್ಜಿನೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು. Okay, once apart. So, once upon a time, in the busy world of PR, the press releases, and endless client calls, there lived a young man, a smart guy, with a big brands, working with the big brands like Godrej, BBC World News, and Hotels.com. But after some years of handling brand images and media crisis, and maybe drinking too much coffee, he had a thought. Yeah, there has been more than life just sending emails or chasing insights or coverage. And like a true hero, he quit his job. Yes, he resigned. On his own, not because of layoffs or not because of a bad boss. Just like that. So, if any of you have done that in the past, please meet him. He will inspire you to do it again, probably. Right? Okay, after quitting, he didn't just take a break. He did something crazy. He traveled to 14 countries in 18 months. In fact, I have been planning at least a Goa trip for the last 5 years, still planning. And during the journey, he didn't just collect souvenirs or fridge magnets. He collected stories of people, cultures, struggles, and a real ones, a real beautiful ones. And those stories, they were published in Mint Launch, Forbes Lives, Firepost, The Quint. ಪ್ರಜಾವಾಣಿಲಂತೂ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಂದಿದೆ. Okay, at least I don't know. All right. So, when he came back, he didn't restart his PR career. He started a movement. He built something called the Story Co. Through this, he teaches founders, startups, CXOs, and even college students how to turn their boring about us or a business pitch into something that actually makes people listen. He also runs a story club. I don't know what's the difference between the Story Co and Story Club. He's going to explain probably. So he also runs Story Club, where leaders learn how to tell stories to inspire teams, pitch to investors, build brands, or just not bore the audience during their presentations. His client list is very boring, in fact. Very small clients he has. Tata Motors, SBI Mutual Funds, Saks Retail, and Bestseller India, and many more, plus 50 plus startups. He also helped C-level executives become better storytellers. So now, their talks don't feel just like a company policy documents anymore. But guess what? He is now based right here in Namma, Mysuru. He stays with his wife, his mother, and their chief storyteller, their indie dog by name Kiki. So, whether you are a student dreaming of launching your own idea, or a founder looking to raise funds, or a CXO tired of blank faces during a team meetings, then today your life might just change. So because Mr. Sachin Bhandary believes in one thing, story means success. And today he is going to show us how. So put your hands together, bring on the energy, and give a big Mysore style welcome to Sachin Bhandary.
Anil deserves a huge round of applause. And Anil, you did not need to take that pause that he used to drink a lot of. It is true that I used to drink a lot of what you insinuated. I started drinking coffee only after I came to Mysore. Okay, so thanks a lot everyone. So what we are going to do, the reason why I asked about the temperatures, because I want to do a quick activity. If you attended the previous session that I hosted when Mr. Ravi Shankar was conducting the session, you know that I will get you to do something, right? So I would request all of you to raise to your feet. All right? There are, I think, about close to 80 people in the room, if I'm not wrong. Mahesh, can you confirm? Okay, so what we are going to do is that I'm going to count till 30. And the exercise is that you try to give the maximum number of high fives to as many people as possible. So it's not like I go and give the high five only to Adarsh multiple times, right? So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the same person. It has to be. So you have to touch or give high five to as many people as possible in about 30 seconds. So shall we get started? Can we have some music? No. Okay. Music, it'll take another 30. That was not in the brief, so good idea. You found a loophole. Yeah, you found a loophole. Music, no? Oh, no music. Okay, I'll have to sing as I'm counting. Okay, great. So we are going to start and I'm going to count till 30. So let's get started. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Brilliant. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Who got the maximum? Like, what was your count? Number of five? 40? 45. No. You have to be honest, okay? 50? 50? 50? 45? Anyone else who's in that range? 40? I made that mistake. That's 26? 36. Okay, so 45, 50 and 36. If you can just come to the front of the room. Okay, 45, 50 and 36. A big round of applause for these three gentlemen. Okay, 50, right? What is your name? Razak. And Srinidhi and Anil, of course. Anil with 45. Okay, one more round of applause for Anil, Razak and Srinidhi. Okay, fantastic. Thanks a lot. Back to your seats. Wonderful. So the events like these, so that is the idea. I generally see that when I come to TiE events, or in that sense any other event for that matter, that people tend to gravitate towards people they already know. The idea of a networking event is that you go and make new connections, talk to new people. So this was just a way to tell you that you can actually touch so many people in about 30 to 45 seconds, right? There's another thing I'd like to check. Can I have a show of hands of founders, people who are running a business on their own? Okay, any table which does not have a founder? Any table here which does not have a founder on the table as a part of the table? No. Okay, so all tables have founders. So fantastic. That's great. Let me get started. All right. So powerful storytelling, the key to audience engagement. I'm going to start off by sharing. Yes. So we did this already. So Kiki.
Baby, porque te extraño. Y sé que ahora tú ya andas sola. Y te espero que te demoras. A volver a verte, cerquita tenerte y otra vez perderte. Una vez más, que está tu piel aquí en mi cama. Aunque no te quede hasta mañana. Aunque aún no sé por si me amas. Yeah. Una vez más, que está tu piel aquí en mi cama. Aunque no te quede hasta mañana, aunque aún no sé por si me amas. Y es que estar contigo se siente bien, se siente bien.
So this was Kiki. How many of you love pets? Maybe you don't have a pet, but you love pets. Okay, almost 60% of the room. That's fantastic. For the ones who did not raise your hands, it's completely all right, because 4 years ago, I was much like you. I did not necessarily not like pets, but I wasn't very fond of them either. So for some of you who know, I moved from Bombay to Mysore, and in Bombay I always had this excuse. I used to tell my wife, we cannot adopt a pet because we live in a matchbox. In Bombay you live in matchboxes, right? So, and that was my excuse. And when we moved to Mysore, we had a really nice house with a garden around it, and there was also a park right opposite to the house. It's Kiki Park in Jailakshmipuram. That's how she got her name. And she said, now what is the reason? Why shouldn't we have a pet? And like most husbands, I wasn't really given a choice. She went and found Kiki. We adopted her. But when Kiki came into our house, for the first few weeks, I acted as if I just happened to live in that house. Sarika is responsible for Kiki, or Kiki is rather Sarika's responsibility. Then one day, what happened is that I was working in my home office, and I heard a loud shriek. First Sarika and later Kiki. I got really scared. I ran from my office to our bedroom where Kiki had actually jumped off Sarika's arms because she was really small. She had no understanding of getting hurt, heights, etc., etc. And she was on the floor. I looked at her, and instinctively I got down onto my knees. I checked her limbs, and thankfully she was fine. She had not broken a bone or something like that. And in that moment, Kiki did something that I will never forget for the rest of my life. She walked into my lap, sat in my lap, looked at me as if saying that, I know that you don't show that you care, but whenever I need you, you will always be there for me. And to me, in that moment, I became a pet parent. To me, Kiki became my daughter that day. And since then, of course, I always tell people that pets really add a lot of joy to your life, to your family. So I would definitely encourage anyone to adopt a pet. Now, I want you to take a pause and think about this a little while. And then I want you to imagine that I am a pet care startup founder. Okay, I narrated this story to you, and then I told you that did you know that there are 25 million pet dogs in India? 6 million pets get adopted each year. Right now, the industry value is $500 million, and in the next few years, it's going to be $1 billion USD in market value or in size. And ask yourself, if I had only shared the numbers with you, you are investors, okay? Think of yourselves as investors. If I had only shared the numbers with you, would you be that interested in investing, or me opening with the personal story and then attaching the numbers would make you more likely to invest in my company? How many of you think that the second approach, story plus numbers, would have made you more willing to know more? So almost all of you, yeah, much like normal people, yeah, almost all of us. So this is something that I recommend to a lot of my startup founders. What happens is that when we start pitching our companies, our startups, for some reason we forget our personal connection and the incidents which have led us to become passionate about that particular field. The purpose as to why we think that particular startup or something is our purpose is something that we tend to forget. So stories are really powerful. They don't just entertain. A lot of people think that stories is just about entertaining, regaling a tale while you're having a drink with someone or around a campfire, which is also true. Of course, stories are very, very entertaining, and that is why we watch movies, that is why we read books, that is why we are invested or binge watch OTT series, right? But stories also help you connect, they help you persuade, and they help you inspire your audiences. So, which is what we are going to focus on today, to figure out how is it that we can use the power of stories in our communication, regardless of whether you are a startup founder or a student. So if you're a student, you're appearing for an interview, sometimes neither in college or in projects, is something that can help you get the right kind of opportunity. Hi, Sambhav. Let me embarrass you by calling your name out in front of people. If you are a startup founder, then you probably have also seen on Shark Tank, right? They ask you, so aapki story kya hai? And more often than not, it is the people who have the ability to narrate their personal connection with the space that they are operating in who tend to at least get a more warm welcome from the sharks. Of course, after that, numbers and all of these things are important. So I'm not saying that a story is a substitute for a great business. It is not. But a story can definitely improve your chances to get the response that you want from your audience. How many of you here know this gentleman? Can I have a show of hands? Okay, a few people. Yes, Adarsh, can you tell the rest of the crowd who this person is? I know his books. Right, yes, that's right. So that's, yeah, an author is a good description for, yeah. So Yuval Harari is a historian, probably the most prominent historian of our times, and he wrote a seminal book called Sapiens, which has helped a lot of people understand why humans are the most powerful species on the planet. We are not the smartest, we are not the strongest, we are not even the fastest, we are nothing in comparison to a lot of other animals who live on this particular planet, yet we are the most powerful, and the other animals are either locked up in cages or are in zoos, or we are hunting them for whatever purposes, right? He says that the Homo sapiens, humans, are the most powerful species on the planet because we have this unique ability to believe in collective myths. A lion or a tiger can only, or rather a monkey can only say, hey, at the curve of the river there is a lion waiting for you, beware. That's as much as language that they can speak. But humans can believe in collective mythology. So there are 3 C's, of course, a lot of other mythologies. There's a 3 C's are, your currency is a collective myth that we all believe in. The value of a 10 rupee note or a 100 rupee note is 10 or 100 rupees because you believe, I believe, all of us believe that it's a 100 rupee note, right? Now, if you tell a monkey who has a few bananas, especially at the Chamundi Betta steps, right? You tell the monkey, you have the bananas, why don't you take 100 rupees and give me the bananas? Will the monkey give the bananas to you? Right? No, right? He'll probably take the 100 rupee note and tear it away also. So they will not believe in these things because that's not a subjective reality. That's not an objective reality. It's a subjective reality that we believe in as humans. But because all of us believe, that is why it becomes powerful and it is useful. So company, currency, countries are also collective mythologies that all of us believe in, right? So that's why storytelling is very, very important and something that we all, pretty much everything that we know actually comes from storytelling. Can someone tell me why stories are so powerful? Anyone? Can I get a mic?
You can remember the thing, right?
Right.
And you can take away something from it. And
Right.
you can actually say it back.
Retell.
Yeah, you can retell.
Yes.
That's why stories are
Powerful. Yeah. Round of applause for Ashwin. Yes.
The human psyche makes you believe that you are living that story. So
Good
it
one.
makes it even more,
Stories are relatable. You
Relatable.
sort of put
Yep.
yourself into that story, so you live that.
especially if you also had a similar experience.
100%. Thanks a lot, Srinidhi. Yeah. Round of applause for Srinidhi.
You may connect with the characters within the story.
That is right. You will connect with the characters. People at the back. Anyone else? I'd like to.
Stories.
Yeah. Big round of applause for the lady. Yes, you can learn the art of storytelling because liars, it's very easy for them to narrate stories because they access imagination a lot more easily than good people do. And that is why I say that good people have to learn this art and practice this art. So there are 3 reasons. One is stories actually use what is the pull mechanism. Push is when you say, oh, messages. You're basically pushing your message onto someone else if you a couple of steps back, right? As opposed to that, when you narrate the story of a time when the first time I got an opportunity to do a training with Tata Motors, I hadn't done a training at all. And I really had butterflies in my stomach. I couldn't sleep for 6 days straight. But at the final moment, the department head stood up and he gave a standing ovation. Now, suddenly when I narrate this story, you probably want to know more about my company and the fact that ours is a good training company, innovative, creative. All of these messages get delivered on its own. So when you're using stories, you're getting people to lean in. And if you narrate a story really well and it's relevant, people will want to ask you more questions. And that's what you want, right? People in sales, you don't want to go and keep pushing and giving your product all the time or product features, benefits, etc. You want to say something. You want to give them a trailer. And then you want them to get invested in your company, in your initiative, in your startup. And when they start asking the question is when you know that, yes, I've got this person invested in what I'm doing. So that is the first reason why stories work, especially in business and in work. The second reason is that it helps you build neural connections. So when I narrated the story of Kiki, the afternoon that she fell off Sarika's arms, you probably pictured that image in your mind, right? You saw already what Kiki looks like, but if I wouldn't have shown her picture or a video, you probably would have imagined a dog, probably brown in color. So what happens is that I am narrating the story and you are connecting with that story, and that is a neural connection that we are forming. And research suggests that this third reason is stories are also the best way to learn. Now, let's just imagine, when we were all teenagers at some point, I was many years ago, or rather decades ago, we always want to rebel against our parents, right? ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಆ ಥರನೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So we want to do something that's completely opposite of what our parents ask us to do. But the same teenager, when he or she is exposed to the story of the Mahabharata, when Arjuna was having a question, how can I kill my own family members? Is this not wrong? You know, he goes and asks Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna then shows his divine form and says, Arjuna, you are a warrior. Your job, your duty is to fight the right fight and win what is rightfully yours. And suddenly, the same teenager starts believing in the concept of dharma. Now just notice, the actual recipient of the message is not Arjuna. The recipient of the message is you and I, people who are listening to the story. That is how religions forward their ideas, their precepts, by narrating stories to us so that we start believing in those precepts. Now, if the same religion just gave you a 10-pointer statement that do this, do that, etc., we probably will not believe in those ideas as strongly as we believe in the idea of dharma because of this story of Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Despite all of us being fall prey to this idea of MBA speak. MBA speak means you have to use word like strategic, innovative, then complicated stuff. Yeah, what? Conceptual, yes. Any more MBA words that Idealization. Anyone else? Any other MBA words that you can share? Yeah. Stay connected, revert back, etc., all of that, right? And बहुत simple लग रहा है. CEO के साथ मिलने जा रहे हैं. We are going to meet the CEO. Why don't you make it a little more complicated? And I would say that no, but this is what it is. This is going to help them get the results. But that's the trap that we've all fallen into. And it is not true that complicated means better. In fact, when you use complicated language and messages, you are, that's not what we want. So what we are going to do today is that we'll supercharge, or at least try to supercharge our communication with real and authentic stories. And I'm going to share a few examples, one technique, and we are going to do an exercise. So we're going to do 3 of them. Yes?
On the keeping it simple.
Yes.
Which means keep it simple.
Like one of the filters that the team used to use, that is it simple and stupid enough, right? So that's what we are going to do. Ready, everybody in for this? Okay. Slightly louder cheer? Yes. Okay, fantastic. So we are going to look at 3 types of stories, and we'll look at how to arrive at those stories, and we are going to do exercises. So I have Bhuvan here, my friend, who is going to, so shall we number the tables? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. You both starter founders are there in the table, right? Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ravi sir is at 10, 11, 12, and there are a bunch of people who are sitting there. Don't worry, you will get to participate. You do your exercises because I will pick people up from that bunch also to speak. So we know the numbers now. What's going to happen is that after I share an example and give you a template to work with, you work together as a team to create a story, and one of you will narrate the story. All right? So there are 3 activities. So every time it has to be a new speaker. So it can't be the same speaker speaking again. So that's what we are going to do. Every team gets only 90 seconds to narrate the story. You will have 3 minutes to prepare the story. So that's what we are going to do. The first or the most important story, or one of the most important stories that a startup needs to work on. Anyone with any ideas? What's that story? one important story that a startup founder or a startup needs to work on? How did the idea come? Think of a better word to describe that. You've got it, but can you use one or two words to describe it? Launch the idea. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so let's think of superheroes. So when Superman, what was that? Yes, what made him a superhero is right. But what is that story? Like, where did the superhero origin? Okay, brilliant. Ashwin got it. So it's origin story. So every startup has to work on its origin story. Now that is why you get to see all of these pictures of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs working in their garages, creating software, etc., etc. Because an origin story takes you back in time and it helps you relate better with that startup, and it also makes you feel that, oh my God, these guys are like the underdog, you know. They really took on an industry and they did well. So it transports you back in time. And that's one of the things that stories do really well. It transports you back in time. So we are going to look at an origin story. Start working on this. So origins, all right, about 30% have stayed in an Airbnb. Great. So how did Airbnb start? That's what Brian Chesky is going to narrate. And I will have a quick chat with you folks after that.
And it turns out that Joe said, well, the rent is once coming to San Francisco, all the hotel, we go to the conference website, all of the hotels on the conference website are sold out. And so we had this idea. We said, well, what if we just turned our house into a bed and breakfast for the design conference? Unfortunately, I didn't have any beds, but Joe had 3 air beds. We pulled the air beds out of the closet. We inflated the 3 air beds. We called it the air bed and breakfast. Yeah. Yeah. I love that noise. And yeah, so that's how it started, airbedandbreakfast.com. So I guess the answer is no. When I started airbedandbreakfast.com, I didn't think I'd be at the New York Stock Exchange. We ended up hosting 3 people, a 35-year-old from Boston, a 30-year-old from India, a 45-year-old father of 5 from Utah. But what ended up happening was we ended up becoming friends, and we made enough money to pay our rent. At this point, we say, we're ordinary guys. I bet you there's a lot of other ordinary people like us that want to make some extra money, meet cool people. I asked Joe, I said, well, who's the best engineer you know? Joe said, well, my old roommate Nate is. And so the 3 of us got together, and we had a simple idea. What if you can book someone's home the way you could book a hotel anywhere in the world? And that's how it started.
And cut to today, where you have, as Terry said, I think it's more than 160 million guest arrivals, as you call it. 2 million people stayed in Airbnb on New Year's Eve alone that night. And you're worth $30 billion, or maybe it's 31 as of last week, I read.
Yet he chooses to narrate the story of them starting their startup in a living room, because he is a very, very good student of storytelling. In fact, his role model is Walt Disney, and he understands a lot of principles of storytelling. And he realizes that every time you narrate that story, you are still able to portray or profile yourself as the underdog in this big fight against hospitality brands like a Marriott or Hyatt and all of these other brands. And that is what you want, right? You want people to think that you're fighting the good fight. You're taking on the good guys, because we all love a great underdog story. So that's the reason why he narrates this particular story. And then he will go on to say, by the way, we connect so many travelers with hosts. He will never start with a bland statement that Airbnb is a platform which connects hosts with travelers. He will always use a 2-line statement to narrate the story, and then follow it up with what actually the company does or the platform does. So let's think of how you can come up with your origin story. Of course, I'm not saying that there's only one way. There are many different ways to come up with this origin story, but a specific moment in time. So it has to be a real happened, in a particular year, at a particular place in time. There are people involved, so there are a couple of characters, maybe you, your co-founder, etc., etc. So I'll narrate one story and try and see if we can break it down into this model. How many of you here are aware of a company called Freshworks? Okay, all right, almost 50% of us. So Freshworks actually was launched because of a broken Samsung TV. So when Girish Mathrubootham was coming back from the US, he arrived and his Samsung TV came broken in the delivery, right, which he was moving. So that's the problem. So whatever that time was, back in 2010 or 11, he was coming back to India, and his Samsung TV arrived broken. So that's when he started writing emails and doing phone calls to the customer support team of the insurance company. So he started doing phone calls and emails to the customer support team of the insurance company, but they gave him a runaround. They were not actually trying to compensate, they were just trying to make him run from pillar to post. So that's the realization. So that's when I figured that they were giving me the runaround and they were not actually compensating me for my loss. Then what Girish Mathrubootham did is that he was not interested in the money, he wanted revenge. He said, I did not want the money back, I wanted revenge on the insurance company. So I put screenshots of all the emails and the phone calls into the forum where I got the recommendation of the insurance company. And to my surprise, the president of the insurance company called me and the money was transferred into my account within a few hours. Okay? That's when I realized the opportunity. So since then, that is the time that I realized that a lot of customer support companies, which I did not want to go against thinking that the market is completely saturated, were focusing on the older channels of communication, email, phone calls, etc. But there were these new channels which they did not really understand or they were not supporting, which is social media. Social media was still like very new back then in terms of customer care and stuff like that. And that is how we started Freshworks, which was back then called Fresh Desk. It started off as Fresh Desk and eventually it got changed to Freshworks. So problem, realization, resolution, opportunity. So this is how you can craft and narrate your origin story. Keep it as crisp as possible because you need to narrate this in 90 seconds. So what I'd like to do is that, of course, I know that there are multiple founders on each of the tables. If there are multiple founders, just be generous and let someone else's startup origin story be narrated. So pick up one of your companies, like whoever's company is represented, and craft the origin story for that company. Problem, realization, resolution, opportunity. Okay? So you work on one origin story per table. And if you have any questions, I'm around. Yes. Yes.
He himself can narrate, no? Like,
Yeah, 100%. The founder himself can narrate, no problem at all. Yeah. Even better, no? You get the opportunity to practice. Just so that we are able to complete this in time. Questions, please feel free to ask. All right, 30 more seconds. Okay, 10 more seconds. We'll stop in exactly 10 more seconds story. So that's completely understandable. And we are here to learn from each other, right? So Bhuvan is going to just make a note. Bhuvan, just stand so everybody can see you. The table, there will be one person who will narrate the story in about 90 seconds. 90 seconds, I'm going to pull the mic away. So 90 seconds is what you get. The other tables, don't continue to work on your origin story while someone is narrating, because you have to rate the speaker. So whoever is narrating the origin story, is it interesting? Was it short enough? Did it give you an idea about the startup? Whatever it is, on a scale of 1 to 10. So Bhuvan, you have to collect numbers. So for instance, if table 1 is speaking, then all the other 12 tables, I think the 12 tables, all the other 11 tables will rate table 1 on 1 to 10. I will give a rating as well. So eventually we'll tally up the entire score and see which table did the best performance tonight, okay, in terms of storytelling. So that's the entire idea. I think we can get started with table 4.
So I was in the US from 2008 till 2021. And we've all been through the wave of COVID. So in 2019, February, I started a company, an IT-based company in the US. We have our own product that we are selling, an IT product. And then COVID hit. March 2020, in the midst of COVID, we did not know what to do. We were just a 1-year young company. So we had to go online. Successfully, we did run through the 1-year stream of online till 2021, where my wife and I, both co-founders of the company, realized, why stay in the US? Let's go back to India since we are online. I'm the only child for my parents, so decided let's go back home. When I say home, I just don't mean India. My parents live in Gundlupet, which is about 60 kilometers away from here. So we went to Gundlupet. We landed in India, went to Gundlupet. 2 days after reaching home, wave 2. So 3 months, we are stuck in India at home, midst of wave 2. And we realized, what are we doing? Let's start another company in India. The reason we did that is a lot of people were displaced during the first wave of COVID, lost jobs, lost work.
30 more
and that became an opportunity for us. We realized, why don't we give them an opportunity in the field? Because they were looking for opportunities and we had one. So we started our company in Gundlupet. Today we are about 3.5 years young still, building IT products, doing R&D for our US patented product, selling our products to US, UK, and now entering the Middle East.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Folks, we are going to respect the speaker. I'll give you 30 seconds after every speaker to put your rating. But once somebody starts speaking, I request everyone to pay total attention.
Yeah, hi, good evening everyone. I'm Rajesh Kutnikar. I'm narrating a story, a real story that actually happened with me. And I was out of India for 10 years, and I returned to India from US, very similar story. I returned in 2004, and I had I didn't have any concrete plans on what I wanted to do, but I had done a pitch for a customer on behalf of a company where I used to work for. And then the customer decided to give the project to the company, but they said the team of 5 guys who did the presentation should work on the project, only then the company would get the project. So this was an IT project in ERP, specifically in SAP. So for me, the reason for me to move back to India was to be with my family, as I was also the only son to my parents, and I had 2 kids in US, and I wanted them to have primary education in India. So the customer insisted on me going back to US to work on this project, but I refused. I refused, and I agreed to work only remotely, and after a lot of discussions, they accepted the offer and gave the project to us to work from Mysuru. And I hired, not exactly hired, I took 4 engineers, fresh graduates in computer science through references, and then I trained them in SAP, and then used their time and the training that I had provided to deliver this project, which was very successful. In 6 months, we were able to complete the project. But then I had a problem on hand as to, can I get little extension?
Yeah, please, 30 seconds, but
30
not more than that.
seconds,
We have a lot of people.
So basically, I didn't know what to do with these guys. So I took them into SAP to meet some of my old colleagues to find a job for them. And they said, wow, these guys are great. After interviewing them, they said, why don't you train 50 more people like this? We'll hire. And that's where the opportunity I saw, and then I established an organization and trained many more people. And today, 20 years later, we have had about more than 500 people move out from our organization, and right now we have close to 150 consultants working across Bangalore, Mysore, Mumbai, and we have customers across the globe.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Name of my
Take it away.
So, my story is the story of a one young girl who was stupid enough to think the world can be a beautiful place, who was always in her own world. In one hot summery day of 1993, in afternoon, she happened to go through one magazine of her mother, and she reads about an article that somewhere in Paris there is a spa where you can go and be beautiful using all the natural things. And that dream sets into her head because she was hyper ambitious, not having friends, not knowing limitations. And that time, she happens to go to Badrinath with her parents. And there, she gets to see these hot water springs. Being 14-year-old, what she wants to make independently some money, her pocket money. And that mud was free. And going to temple, they get lots and lots of basil. She pulled all those things, carried a bag with her, started going to library and reading about what can I do. And she created her first venture at the age of 14 of cosmetics and beauty products. So that was my beginning. And as the time is less today, after 3 ventures, multiple ups and downs, being on the cover of Entrepreneur India in 2014 as one of the 10 most investable businesses in India, to closing down the business to explore what will make me happy. Started again, being enough successful to have a center in IIM Bangalore and having Nimans as my customer for a IoT-based technical device to reduce stress. And then from the COVID, completely closing and starting a Nairo Cosmetics brand and being one of the 40 ventures in G20 to represent country.
10 more seconds.
It has been a journey filled with ups and downs. How I remember going to that trip in Badrinath, and it's still keep exploring, getting beautiful with each and every day. And I am learning from each and every person and still not aware what is my story. I just know MA means peace, happiness, and I'm still determined to have a word which is free from stress and full of beauty.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Back in 2023, all of us read in the newspaper that on Arsu Road there was a vehicle that blasted off, which was the Ola electric vehicle. And that is when I realized that newbies are coming and selling electric two-wheelers in Mysore, and that is why we are facing these issues. Cut to understanding that, we are a 40-year-old dealership. Our dealership is called Shah Mysore Hero. And I said, if we can't solve this problem of electric two-wheelers in Mysore, nobody can. And then we took over a new dealership, which is called Vida, and we run it by the name of Vida Hub. We sell it in all our Hero dealerships. And I'm happy to say that since then, the opportunity is so large that we are the only city in this country that sells twice as much as Ola's sale is. And we are the only city, and we got awarded recently that Mysore is the only city where there is no mishap of any electric two-wheeler because the service of our two-wheeler is excellent. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you.
Fantastic.
This was like when we were trying to find our hidden talents, and that is what I was doing. I started cooking, and all the exotic cooking like broccoli, quinoa, and basil, mushrooms. So I wanted to get into the kitchen, and there came my mother-in-law and said that, we don't prefer eating all these things because, they are filled with a lot of preservatives, pesticides. They are not grown on Indian land. So I was disappointed. As my husband always supports me, he found a solution. He's like, I know a farmer who is into hydroponics and grows most of the things organic. We can try source it from him. And I started doing that. Everybody was happy. We started getting into, different recipes. And that is when I got an idea, why not we source from him, at least for our 5 families. We are a big family in Mysore. I'm like, okay, let's do it for, just our immediate members, immediate family members. and we enjoyed the food. That is when me and my husband thought of an idea. Why not do it at a large scale, at least for Mysore people? You know, they would love that. Why not connect organic farmers directly to people, directly to the families? Let them know where are we sourcing, tell them where it is coming from. They can go check out the farm and directly give it to them in the house. And in COVID, nobody wanted to go out. That was a great opportunity. So that is when arrived Simple Soul. We started a firm with just 5 farmers in our hand, and we had around 10 to 15 immediate friends and families who started sourcing from us. Slowly now, it's about 3.5 years. We have more than 50 farmers on our platform, and we have around more than 300 customers who are directly taking from these farmers. We have all organic groceries, sustainable products. If you go to our website, you can directly see where the farm is, the address of the farm, who the farmer is, what all he is growing, and yeah, that is how Simple Soul was built.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Nikita. Subhe, you should have been nice.
Though
throughout
I'm
the
a
day.
co-founder of IT Champs, I want to pitch for myself.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll see now. So table number 4. Okay. Yeah, Prajakta.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to tell you about a girl who comes from a small town called Solapur, where no exposure is there, nothing is there for them to come out and see what the world is. So till my education, I was just a tomboy, brought up as a tomboy, and then came my real life story when I got married to Rajesh Kutnikar, and we went to Singapore and then to US. But since came from a small town, I was not able to get that exposure in my town, and then suddenly when I got exposure in these countries, I was a very shy and I was feeling so scared, and I was feeling like something is missing in me. And that's where I started learning or putting time for myself, putting time to learn something where I can be able to speak for myself. And after we came back from US, that's where I started being part of lot of organization. And wherever and whenever I get that opportunity, I try to take that mic and talk. This is today, I'm taking this mic just for myself to show that I'm able to talk in front of a group which a girl from a Solapur was not able to talk in front of 5 people also. So today, I feel proud of myself that I have invested time and learning to grow myself as a strong person, to speak in front of the audience. Thank you.
Okay, started way back. In fact, if you have heard about the yellow pages.
Folks, let's just pay attention to the speaker, please.
Okay, I'm Satish. Okay, if you had heard about the yellow pages earlier, okay, I was the guy who started the yellow pages way back in 88, 89.
Woo!
Okay. The story did not end there. In fact, I ran the company for 28 years. Okay, it was a very successful company based in Mysore. I did not corporatize it. Okay, Yellow Pages Mysore was mine. Okay, and very well respected. Next, somehow my entrepreneurial instincts wanted to do more. Way back in something earlier than when Google started, 2000. I thought, okay, we hardly had about 4,000 or even less than internet connections at that point of time in Mysore. I started something called e-com school to talk about what e-commerce can actually deliver in the future. Of course, I knew Mysore or India was not ready for that. At that point of time, yeah, it was an experimental thing. Yeah, it closed down during the 2000 .com burst, okay, wherein I was also running a management institution called the Presidium. Okay, incidentally, I introduced 3 corporate identities. One was Airtel, one was ICICI, one was HDFC Life to Mysore. Because when they wanted to launch it in Mysore, they wanted some kind of a, some very fast grabbing of the market.
Sorry to be the headmaster, sir. Time is up. So
Yeah.
if you should wrap it up.
Next is I started something called Pick Up in Store, which is my current company. If you Google Pick Up in Store, just no .com or nothing, just Pick Up in Store, you'll find more than 100 blogs, and just write volume of business done by retailers using Pick Up in Store. You'll find that I was surprised that it quotes a figure as high as $668 billion. Okay, it means people see what is available in the store and go to the store to pick it up. We are building a global marketplace for that, but I'm not sure how much time I have because I'm already 62. Okay, I may just be able to bring it out, may not be able to, but then I will be selling it in the US for some time. Okay, so this is my story.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot for sharing, sir. Thank you very
There hasn't been a summer where we haven't been out of this state. Last week, let me give you an example of some of the problems that we faced while traveling. Last week when we were in the Philippines, we had around 4 days there. We'd finished all of our touristy destinations, the must-dos, and the last day we just wanted to, chill and go around in the marketplace and explore the local life of the place and just live like a normal Filipino. We tried to explain that to our guide, and yeah, it did not work very well because all she had to do was follow the instructions of her agent. So anything that we wanted to change in our itinerary had to go through the India's agent and the Filipino agent and then to the guide, and then she would take us. And that could not be done in a day because everything was planned. So all of these agents and all of the guides work like robots. We were not there to, follow a certain path in which we weren't even interested in. And that's just my family. There might be someone else who's, religious and wants to visit temples. There might be foodies who just want to try the local food. That is when we realize that this is a major problem in any, tourism, in any tourism that you do. There's a certain path. Say you want to visit Delhi, you go to the Taj Mahal, you go to the Lotus Temple and just come back. What if someone just wants to go and eat the kachori there? That's not really a flexibility that we have. That is when we realized that it can be solved with a simple app. There are two major problems here. One, there's no flexibility in the itinerary, and two, the tourism sector is very complicated. Complicated in the sense you can't really make changes that easily. That's when I realized it can be solved with a simple app where people give you their preferences. Say I'm a foodie, I say I need food, and gives you a customized itinerary. And then maybe later on connect the dots and make the process of tourism fairly simple. And I think that's possible because of AI, and it's fairly simple than what it was 7-8 years ago.
Thank you. Fantastic. Okay. Is the mic on? Long press. You have to do a long press. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I find small companies facing some difficulties in terms of HR, in terms of accounting process flows and stuff like that. So keeping that in mind, we were just looking into that was my looking into probably what is the problem statement as a matter of fact. So the whole team, like we had about 2 of us to start with. We made an informational exchange. How do we map this particular thing so that we can look into and process where we can support the companies? So the best input was that to ensure that we can have an outsourcing entity worked out for them. Of course, outsourcing is something which is very common nowadays, like they will do here and there. So we concentrated much on particularly to mid-size up to mid-size companies, where we only told them, please take care of your sales. we'll take care of your back office. That accounts to accounting, that's bookkeeping, HR, that is staffing process both for IT and non-IT, and then payroll management. That's how the whole process of our company started. It's called Purvi Consultancy Services Private Limited under the flagship branding TechB. I need to thank my colleague, Ms. Rekha, who's the head of HR, who's instrumental in handling all these operations as such. That's it. Thank you, Nalini.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot.
So just like that, just like even I struggled learning in these two words, my friends helped me in that. So just like me, Alexis, the co-founder of the company Lingotran, he also faced the same issues while he was learning a new language through books, which was filled with so many words. So he thought of a solution, and he thought of organizing all these words and letters and learn it. To his surprise, with this approach, he could learn a new language, a foreign language, in just 2 months. Just like that, the company is now building a prototype or a model which is going to teach new easy languages, learn it to the world. So that is the company Lingotran. Thank you.
Fantastic.
ಸಂಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅವಾಗಿನ್ನೂ ಹುಡುಗಾಟದ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಐ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್. ದೆನ್ ಆ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, 1 ವರ್ಷ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ನ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಗೀತು. 12 ಲಕ್ಷ ನಾವು ಏನು ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಒಬ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಿ, ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟು ಒಬ್ರಿಗೆ ಹತ್ರನೇ ಲಾಕ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಐ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ. ದೆನ್ ಅಗೈನ್ ಝೀರೋ ಅಲ್ಲ ಮೈನಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ? ಹುಡುಗಾಟದ ಬುದ್ಧಿ. ದೆನ್ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಮನೇಲಿದ್ದೆ 2 ಮಂತ್ಸು. ಮೈ ಬ್ರದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್. ಸೊ 2 ಮಂತ್ಸ್ ಮನೇಲಿದ್ದೆ. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೋಬೇಡ, ಬಾ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ಅಂತಂದ. ಹಿ ವಾಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸೈಟ್ಸ್. ದೆನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕಷ್ಟ ಕಾಣೋ, ನಂಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಸಿಮೆಂಟು ಸ್ಟೀಲು ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವೇ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ದೆನ್ ICICI ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಸಿಕ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ರದರ್ಗೆ. ನೋಡಿ, ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡೋಲ್ಲ, ಹೊಸಬ್ರು. ನೀವೇನಾರ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ದಂಗೆ ನಾನು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಯಾರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು? ಓಕೆ, ಎಸ್. 10 ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಎಸ್. ಆವಾಗ ಶುರುವಾಗಿದ್ದು ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಪ್ಲಂಬಿಂಗ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಎರಡೂ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಸ್ಟೀಲ್ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಮೇಯ್ನ್ ಅದೇನೆ. ಸೊ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್. ಆವಾಗ ಶುರುವಾಗಿದ್ದ ಕಂಪನಿ. ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಬ್ರದರು, ಹೀ ಈಸ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್, ನಾನು ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟು ಏನಿದೆ ಪ್ರೊಕ್ಯೂರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ದೆನ್ ಎಸ್, ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ IT ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್, ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್, institutions, everything we are doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, good evening all. My name is Navya. I'm not a founder of any company. I'm going to tell the story of a founder. So there was a boy who did his engineering, electrical and electronics engineering, and he was thinking what to start. So he thought that, can I start an ice cream factory? So no, because he did not have any support. So he did not have a penny of money. So his father was not supportive. He said, you have to start something on your own. So as he thought, and somehow with some of the influence, he got an internship in L&T. So then as he did his internship in L&T, he was seeing all the electronics, PCB assemblies, components and all. He thought, why should I not do it? So he requested the head of L&T, can you give me some job work process? So they somehow gave him the board. He did not have space, he did not have machine, no equipments. So then he requested the L&T people again, can you support me with all this equipment? So they gave him. He did not have space, so he broke his house wall and he started at home, starting doing the job work. He somehow started doing it, but there was no further growth in that business, so he wanted to expand it. So he was keep on traveling here and there to get all the business opportunities. And for him, again, success partner was his wife. So both of them left and right used to travel to get the business. One fine day, they got a call from US saying that you got a business opportunity. We need the quotation, because those days was a pager, not even a mobile phone or an email. So then they got a call and then they asked to come back, but they were somewhere in the North India for trying for the business. So they did not have money to again come by air. So they had to get some 2-3 buses and then came back to Mysuru, started doing the costing. And then those days again, you will not well versed with the Excel and all. So they did handwriting Excel file and then send the costing to customer. So then customer said, you're no good and your cost is 10 times more what we expected. So then this founder, like the entrepreneur, what was there? So he wanted to somehow do it. So the thought what he got in his mind that day was, okay, let me commit to the target what the customer is giving, let me work back. So that day the founder made a decision, let me work back, and he worked back for that opportunity. And he wrote a mail to the customer saying that, can you help me how to cost this product? So then that is how he started his export business. From that day till today, it has never stopped with the commitment and working to meet the customer requirement. That is where our company Kane's Technology stands for, and our founder is Mr. Ramesh Kannan.
Brilliant.
Thank you all.
Where did it happen? Okay, when did it happen? Where did it happen? The character the conflict and the change. Now, if you look at any story which you find interesting, you find it interesting because there is some conflict that the character faces. You know, there is a challenge that the character is put through. They say in storytelling that we all want our heroes to win, but we want them to go through hell before they do. Okay? So if your hero is going through hell and then overcoming that, then it is a good story. That's why all of the movies where the villain is really powerful, you know, who gives a very tough fight to the hero, are the ones which we really like. So we don't like, you know, very weak villains and stuff like that. So just remember these 5 things: time, location, character, conflict, and the change. So the conflict is the most important aspect. So some of the stories were flat in the sense that you did not showcase what was the conflict that you were going through. So if I had to sort of try and narrate the StoryCo's origin story using the same model, I would say something like, you know, back in 2020, I had, you know, worked in public relations for 8 years, then did travel journalism, also ran a content startup, but all of them seemed to be false starts, especially after public relations, because I wasn't really able to make something of it. I almost felt like I was staring at a dead end in my career. I did not know what to do next. But after speaking to people, I realized that I could get into training and public speaking because those were clearly my strengths, but I did not know what should be my niche. And that's when I figured, I stumbled upon a talk on YouTube by a gentleman called Amin Haq. He is probably the best known business storytelling coach and trainer in India. And I realized that everything that he was talking about, you know, whether about visual imagination, interesting stories, is something that I already advocated for, and that I could get paid to teach something like this to people would have been a dream come true. So since then, I've realized that a lot of us suffer from MBA speak, and that's my mission. I'm helping companies, startups, and individuals multiply their success rate in team building, fundraising, and sales through the power of stories, through coaching, training, and consulting at StoryCo. That's essentially my origin story using this particular model. So I would request all of you to actually work on your origin stories with this particular model. Give it some time, discuss with your team, narrate it to your team members, understand which parts are interesting, which parts could be better, what is the conflict, dial up the conflict, etc. And then you will be able to use them in really big forums. And when you use your origin story in forums, you will be able to attract audiences even more. So passed on your scores to Bhuvan. The story that I wanted to share is the connection story. A lot of times you're not necessarily pitching for a startup or a product idea, you are pitching yourself. So how do you build a connection with your audiences? So it could be an interview for especially students who are attending this session. It could be an interview that you are appearing in. Sometimes if you are a startup founder, you don't necessarily want investment, but you want industry folks to be on your side. So when you meet someone important or senior, you want to make sure that they feel a connection with you. And a lot of times, especially the executives that I work with, they face this particular challenge. Sachin, I'm not able to get to the leadership position or the CXO level because people don't really like me. They think that I'm very transactional. So how do I become more likable? And that's something that stories can do. So that's what a connection story is all about. So what I'm going to play is a video of a story narrated by Rajiv Bajaj, the MD of, Chairman and MD of Bajaj Auto. And of course, I'll let the gentleman speak for himself.
So, because the village well was going there, and I saw a familiar face. So there's a guy called Subhash, who was a security guard. So I said to him, what are you doing here? तुम इधर क्या कर रहे हो, Subhash? So he said, Baba, maybe इसी गांव का हूँ. He said, I'm also from the same village. So I said, okay. So I said, how come? So he said, no, I mean, I joined the company a long time back, and I have come here for the summer vacations. So once a year they used to go back. And I asked him, so where is your home? So he says, आज आप shooting कर रहे थे ना जमनालाल जी के घर पे? I said, yes. He said, you were shooting at Jamnalalal ji's house. I'm your neighbor. And this was a life-changing moment for me, because I knew the story that Jamnalalal ji was actually born into a very, very poor family. He was one of many kids and his parents were very poor. And he happened to be at the age of 4 playing outside in the courtyard in the middle of the day with the blazing sun. And that was what my cousin was going to act out. That's why I knew this. And he had turned pink in the sun. And there was a Sethji, who was about 60 years old. His name was Bacharaj Bajaj, who in his fancy carriage was going past, horse carriage. And Sethji had no kids. And he saw this child and he felt there is something special about this child. So he walked up, knocked on the door, and Jamnalalji's mother opened the door. Is how the story goes. And as is custom, she offered water. To which then I asked her that, whose child is this? And in a manner of speaking figuratively, she said, Tharoi hai in Marwadi. I believe that means it's like your child. You know, it's the way you say it with affection. He said, okay, then I am taking the child. So she was aghast. So she called her husband. And so he asked what has happened, and she said, look, this is what has happened, he's taking the child away. To which apparently the husband said that the word once given has to be honored. That is the genesis of Kathni Karni Eksi. That once you have said something, you must honor that word. So he said, okay, you can take the child. So the mother was just completely shocked. Then the father was able to collect his wits. He asked the father that, in return, what can I give you? So the father said, we are not selling the child. It's just that, we already made a promise, so we are just keeping our word. But nevertheless, the women in the village have to walk a long distance every day to get water. So it would help a lot if you would commission and fund a well for this village. To which he agreed. That is how that well came about. And that is why we went to shoot there at that well. And then at that well I met Subhash only to learn, to put it simply, that if his grandfather had been playing outside that day, as I say to everyone, I would have been a security guard in Bajaj Auto, and Subhash may well have been the chairman of Bajaj Auto. So this told me that circumstances are much, much bigger than us.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Humble. Yes, yes, ma'am. Just say it. Huh? I'm talking about what do we get to know about Rajiv Bajaj? Grateful, gratitude, right? Okay, fantastic, great. A round of applause for all of you. So, a story, he did not say, right, I am humble. He did not say that I am really grateful and all that. He narrated the story, and through that story we get to know that yes, this gentleman is actually a humble person despite being the MD and the chairman of Bajaj Auto. He realizes that he has to be grateful. So suddenly you feel a connection with this person, right? Of course, apart from the fact that I feel that it also delivers the values of Bajaj Auto. We get to know that this company probably believes in meritocracy. This company probably believes that it's a flat organization and you can maybe walk up to a Rajiv Bajaj and talk about something that's a problem. So he's able to deliver messages about his company, but also able to build a connection with his audiences. So that's what a connection story does when you narrate a story of a time that you did something. So let's say if you wanted to create, so because we are running short on time, I'm not going to do this exercise with everyone, but I'd like to share the template with you. If you wanted to create and narrate your connection story, the first step in the process is to define the situation. So for students here, your situation probably could be that you're appearing in an interview, right? So what is it that you want to communicate in that interview is the question that you have. You have to define that situation. So in this interview, I would like to showcase that I am someone who's committed and is able to deliver results. That's the situation that you are defining. The second step in the process would be that once you've defined this situation, you understand because of this situation, what is it that I want to deliver about myself? Okay, like I said, so you want to deliver the message about yourself, that you're committed and you're able to deliver results when needed without having maybe a lot of experience in the field. The next step in the process would be to think of a moment in time or think back, look at your own life's journey, and then So for instance, if it's about commitment, so you probably do not have any experience of speaking about a job to which you were committed to, but maybe can you talk about a college project which you were really committed to and you were able to deliver on that particular project. So you can say, back in 2023, I was working on this project along with my mates, and we figured out that the project is really difficult, yet I believe that we could get together as a team and we could deliver on this. So this is what we did, step 1, step 2, step 3, and eventually the project was delivered and we were adjudged, or we were ranked the best project in the school or in college for that particular year. The same way, if I'm looking at entrepreneurs, sometime as an entrepreneur, you also want to communicate, or you want to build a connection with potential employees, right? People who will join your company, because they are not joining the company because you are going to pay them top money. They are joining the company because they need to like you as a leader, that this is the kind of person that I can actually bet on, this is the kind of person that I'd like to align with. So hence, some of the values that you want to mention in that. And as a leader, sometimes you want to build a connection, showcasing the fact that you are believing in people, or you give chances to people. So that's a connection story template. Just try and see if you can come up with connection stories in different situations. The next type of story that we are going to focus on is what I'd like to call, but can someone tell me what is one of the defining leading from the front? And somebody said? Creating more leaders. So your answer is also right, but I'd like to give an applause for this lady here. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because leaders have this unique ability of putting the spotlight on others. So if you see someone who puts the spotlight on himself or herself, you can be sure that this person is a manager. But if that person has the ability to put the spotlight or share the spotlight with his or her team members, then you probably think that, hey, here is a leader in making, right? So this is something that we can all learn, and it's fairly okay. I mean, what happens is that a lot of times we don't even notice others' contribution in the journey that we are having. So I'd like to play a clip, but before that, who's your favorite cricketer? Virat Kohli. Okay. Any other names? MS Dhoni. Okay. Any? Sachin Tendulkar. Okay. Fantastic. Any more names? Kapil Dev. Vivian Richards. Okay. I'm not going to play the clip till the time I get that name that I'm looking for. Ganguly. ABD. Rahul Dravid. Fantastic. Rahul Dravid is my favorite cricketer. And Rahul Dravid was invited to deliver a speech a few years ago. The speech became the germination of this movie. Do you folks know Praveen Tambe? Yeah, so there was a movie which came out called Kaun Praveen Tambe. That idea of the movie came to the director because of Rahul Dravid's speech. And this is what he says about Rahul.
I think signifies passion on a cricket field. And no, I mean, a lot of times people come here and expect me to talk about, Tendulkar and Lakshman and Ganguly and Kumble's. And they're all great cricketers, and I've played with a lot of them, and they all, had some amazing qualities. But the story that I like to tell is about Praveen Tambe. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him over the last couple of years at the IPL. And Praveen, was a budding sort of leg spinner as a 20-year-old. And he played 20 years of cricket in the Maidans in Mumbai, never getting an opportunity to actually represent Mumbai at any level. No first-class level, no junior level, nothing. Praveen Tambe didn't get a single opportunity to play any game. But he kept bowling, he kept playing in every single game, and that's really, really hard. Believe me, when you have to go and play in some of the grounds in the Maidans and do it constantly, day in, day out, year after year, year after year, it gets extremely hard. It gets really difficult, and you need to have a different kind of drive to be able to do that. But Praveen did that. And a couple of years ago, we were looking for a leg spinner. We were looking for a leg spinner to play in the Rajasthan Royals team. And Praveen came to our nets. Praveen came to our nets. And, I heard one of the younger guys actually say, who's this uncle who's come to our nets? And Praveen was 41 years old at that stage. He was 41 years old. And we decided to pick Praveen Tambe in our squad. I got a call the next day from our CEO saying, what are you doing? You've picked a 41-year-old guy. Are you crazy? I mean, we're the Rajasthan Royals. We're supposed to promote young players. And I said, no, I mean, there's something in this guy that me and the other coaches had seen. that we believed in. And for the whole IPL, for the next year and a bit, actually Praveen didn't get an opportunity to play in the team. Now, what was really fascinating for me was Praveen's attitude in that year and a half that he actually sat out and didn't get an opportunity to play in the 11. He spent all his time speaking to other players in the team. He would always go up to someone like a Brad Hodge or a Shane Watson or come up to someone like me and talk about his bowling. He spent hours and hours practicing. He would be the first to take the cricket ball at 41, the last to leave it. He would be at every single practice session, whether it was optional or not. He was there every single day. He was there at every single gym training session. Like Rahul said, he even tried to attempt the bleep test. Not with much success, but he attempted it. And when he finally got the opportunity to play in the Champions League and became a great success, and then had another amazing year in the IPL, I think for me it was a phenomenal story. And when he won his first Man of the Match award, he actually came back into the dressing room and he was weeping. He was truly crying. And for me, that is passion. I mean, you hear about great stories and great people, but to play 20 years without no recognition, to just keep playing in gully cricket, in Maidan cricket, to still have the desire and the hunger to keep doing it again and again, to have the attitude to come into an environment that gives you the opportunity to learn and grow and improve, and to grab it with both hands as a 41-year-old was, I think, a great lesson of passion to so many of the young players who are 18, 19, 20, 21 in our team, looking out to make a career. And I think that for me was, probably one of the greatest lessons in.
He's a leader, yes. He's eager to learn. Genuine as a person. Right. Sticking to his beliefs. So he has the ability to fight for a player that he has chosen, even with the CEO of Rajasthan Royals, right? So you see one story, so many messages. A lot of times, I think we feel that we need to put the spotlight on ourselves to come across as really smart, great, etc. But when you put the spotlight on someone else, you will still be able to deliver great messages about yourself. So if you want your team to do well, you probably would do better if you are able to narrate the story of another team member to the rest of the team who's doing a great job, rather than saying, a lot of leaders end up saying this, right? Or maybe not leaders by title. They will end up saying, when I was your age, I used to work 15 hours. That is exactly the kind of stories you should not narrate to people, to your team members, because nobody wants to talk to an uncle, right? Our parents, हम तुम लोग तो पढ़ते नहीं हो, हम लोग तो लैम्प पोस्ट के नीचे पढ़ते थे, right? लैम्प पोस्ट नहीं है, घर पे है सब, क्यों पढ़ूं? Like, why should I read? So those are not the kind of stories that you should narrate. So if you are able to put the spotlight on someone else, you will definitely come across as a better leader. Also, the other thing, it's a fantastic leadership trait when you are able to focus on someone else. So quickly, the template for that matter, it is character, conflict, mentor, change. So in the story, if you are the founder of a company, you are not the hero of the story. If you are somebody who's selling a product, you are not the hero of the story. Okay? If you are a leader, somebody else in your team is the hero of the story. If you are a founder, then your customers are the hero of the story. If you are a salesperson, then other clients that you've worked with are the hero of the story. So that's the hero, that's the character, the conflict that they were facing, the mentor, that is you. So you are not Arjuna in the story. You are Lord Krishna. Okay? That is something that we all need to remember. And a lot of times in marketing and communication, we end up thinking that we are the hero of the story. So we talk about ourselves like that I really achieved a great deal, etc., etc. Whereas nobody is interested in working with another hero. People want to work with people who can help them complete their hero's journey. Right? So that is something that you have to remember. Character, conflict, mentor, change. So in this story, Praveen Tambe was the character, conflict that he had played gully cricket, Maidan cricket for 20 years without an opportunity but did not give up. Mentor is Rahul Dravid. He saw his talent, gave him an opportunity, and then he went on to become a great talent or a great name in the IPL circuit. Now this particular model you can also use to create your brand narratives and all that. So who's the hero? What's the conflict that he or she is facing? That's your customer. As a mentor, what is it that you're bringing to the table, and what change do they get to see after they have worked with you. So that's one thing. Of course, I'd just like to also tell you that when it comes to business story, not start with the stories that I absolutely enjoy narrating. Doing a session with SBI Mutual Funds, they have an annual sales meet where sales leaders and managers, they all got together in Kolkata. The brief that I got from the deputy MD of the company was that, Sachin, I want our people to do knowledge-based sales and not just go and talk about our assets under management, le lo sir because SBI ka hai and stuff like that, right? So the story that I chose to narrate to open with was the story of a friend of mine. His name is Mayur Shah. We bought a Honda Jazz from him. And Mayur actually had a very different approach from everyone else. I had gone to another used car dealer whose name I'll skip. He just said, Sachin, what's your brief? What's your budget? And then said, there are these many cars. This is 6 years old. It has run 1 lakh kilometers. Just take it. Take my word, take it. That was the statement that he made. When I went to Mayur, Mayur was completely opposite. He started asking me questions like, who's going to drive the car? How many kilometers will you drive the car? Will you take long drives in the car? Etc., etc. What is unique about your family? And I realized that the unique thing about our family was Kiki, our pet dog. So we had to also plan for her to be in the car. And then he got into a Honda Jazz. He didn't show me the car. And he started telling me, let me first tell you why this car does not work for you. And then he gave me 3-4 reasons why I shouldn't buy the car. And then he told me, but there's one thing about this car, Sachin, if you notice. I said, what is it? There is so much light coming into this car because of the large windows and the windshield that no matter how bad a day, Sachin, you are having, you'll never feel unhappy in a Jazz. And suddenly I was like, picturing myself getting into the car and becoming like, maybe the little girl or something like that. And then we drove in that Jazz to my house, and I realized that earlier we were thinking of a sedan, but in a sedan, Kiki could not be accommodated in the boot, but in a hatchback she could be. So 4 of us could still travel in the car within the city with Kiki in the booth. And that is the story that I used to deliver the point to 800 people in SBI Mutual Fund that consultative sales is about sharing your knowledge, is about asking, about listening, and then sharing your knowledge in an interesting way, which is what a lot of salespeople do not do. They just say that, sir, le lo, bahut acha hai, le lo. Nahi bhai, I don't trust you. So you have to turn the customer into a conversation rather than a sales pitch. So, but the point I'm trying to make is that you never really start with the story. You start with what is it that you'd like to achieve with that particular situation. Which message will work best in that situation, and hence which story should I narrate so that I am able to deliver the message. Okay. So I like to define business storytelling as business storytelling is a message wrapped in a story delivered to encourage the audience to follow a certain call to action. So that, in my opinion, is the definition of business storytelling. A lot of times I think we tend to forget the fact that we are people who have wisdom, who have experience, who have interesting insights into certain areas that we are working into. We just go into this very templatized, generic sales pitches, no matter who we find. But the fact is that everybody wants to work with someone who is a human being. I want to know your story, your insight, why you're doing this, what is your unique take on this particular sector in your company, why are you doing what you're doing? And those things can only happen if you're able to bring your inside stories and advice to the fore. So there's a process that I've developed. It's called storyflection, which is essentially that you reflect and learn from your everyday life stories and you narrate them to become the most interesting and influential person in the room. The way to do that is this process called MAP. So you sort of just spend 10-15 minutes every day in the evening after your day is done and ask yourself, what was the interesting moment in the day today? What did I learn today? Was there something that changed my mind, something that happened that changed my mind about something? The reason why I had Mayur's story that I narrated in the SBI Mutual Fund session is because it was a part of my journal. I had noticed that day when he spoke to me about the Jazz that something interesting has happened today. Like this, every day interesting things are happening in your life. Your colleagues are doing something interesting. Your partners are doing something interesting. Your clients are achieving great success because of the work that you do. Yet, we are completely straight-jacketed, putting our blinkers on, and just going back and saying, we are an innovative company, sir, please purchase from us. Right? The point is that I will believe you if you have interesting anecdotes and stories to share. And that is something that we need to mark, and then we need to put them in structure. So I shared some of the structures with you. In the future, maybe we will do more sessions and I'll be able to share more. And the third thing is, Mayur's story that I narrated at the event, it was not the first time I was narrating that story. I wrote a newsletter about it. I had narrated it to my friends, to my team members. I also do a radio show on Radio 1 with, in Delhi, Bombay, Chennai and NCR. And in one of the episodes, I had narrated Mayur's story and how I learned from him. So by the time the SBI Mutual Fund session came, I was so confident that the story will land with its message that I didn't have to second guess it. I had the confidence to go and deliver it the best possible way I can. What happens with most of us is that we come up with a story the day that we are supposed to pitch to the investor. So we are making it up as we are going along. While that's good, but it will not help you deliver the best potential of the story. So the last part is, don't just narrate a story once and forget about it. Keep narrating it over and over to different audiences, in different situations, in low-stakes situations, to your family, to your colleagues, to people who probably can give you good feedback. And then once you're confident, this story really works, then you can narrate it in high-stakes situations as well. That if you want to be a success as a leader or as an entrepreneur, you need hitting these stories over and over again to a like-minded and supportive community, and feedback. So for instance, when I did the SBI Mutual Fund session, I actually asked my community if they could help me do a rehearsal and give me feedback. I in fact dropped 2 or 3 stories after I got feedback from the community. So a lot of times I think we don't get critical or constructive feedback for our communication. That is what we are trying to solve for with the Story Club. So if any one of you is interested, you can register using this QR code. You can come for an upcoming meeting. The first meeting is free, and I'm 100% sure that all of you entrepreneurs, executives will definitely benefit from it. So attend a meeting, and if you like, you can become a part of the community, or it's okay, we'll still be friends if you don't choose to become a part of the community, all right? I'm just joking, you have to. Just kidding again. So that's Story Club. I'll send the link as well later. What does the Story Co do? We are a coaching and training company in the space of business storytelling. So some of the sessions that we run, I do some, which is in the commodity space. I run 2 days and 1 day programs like Story Punch for marketing and content, negotiate, inspire, connect, explain. Movie like data presentations for people who present data and do a lot of PowerPoint presentations. Story Punch for sales success, and I also work one-on-one with leaders and executives to help them become better in their leadership journey, etc. So that's broadly it. These are some of the pictures from the Story Co. Yeah. Where you use certain templates to be able to come up with 90-second narratives. So today we spoke about real stories, but how do you use a narrative? A narrative is not a story. It can use storytelling techniques, right? So not narrating a story, but how do you come up with an elevator pitch for your company? Storytelling for sales is another one that I'd like to do, which is where how do you narrate a good customer transformation story? How do you spot a customer transformation story, then structure and narrate it? And the last one is movie-like presentations. So anyone who wants to get better at PowerPoint skills and also learn to use your voice and your body language better when you are speaking to people in interpersonal communication or in public speaking. These are 3 sessions we'd like to do, but I told Mahesh that we are not going to sort of push these sessions on you. So if you are interested and you think that there's value in this, please let Mahesh know, and then Mahesh and I, and of course with Bhaskar, will figure out if we'd like to schedule these sessions in the upcoming days. To end the session, I want to narrate something. That's my mother in the picture. Like you heard from Anil, I've traveled a fair bit, but I travels now a lot more than I do because she's retired and she's completely free. And back in 2013, we first went to Turkey, had a great experience using couch surfing, where you actually stay with locals and there's no commerce involved. You're not paying them for it. It's a cultural exchange. We had been couch surfing hosts for about 7 years, and we had hosted about 100 odd people at our place. So we landed in Rome, and we first went to the bus center. From there, we took a metro. We took 1 hour metro to the end of the line. And then from there, we walked about 2 kilometers to reach the house of the host. And when we reached there, I realized that I had made a mistake. There was some miscommunication. It was a very sketchy neighborhood. The people there were not really nice. And I realized that because of this miscommunication, I had got the address wrong. And it was too late now to go to the host's place. So we took the same trek back to the center of the city. Walked 2 kilometers, took the metro 1 hour, then to the center of the city, and we paid what was our budget for 3 days for a single hotel night room in the center of Rome. I was extremely embarrassed. You know, I really couldn't look at myself in the mirror that I had put my mother through such a tough time that evening. So when she was about to sleep, I just went to her. You know, I was on my knees and I told her, "Mummy, I'm really sorry for what happened. You know, I just don't know what to say." And I still remember what she told me. She just looked at me and said, "You know, beta, such things happen. We'll laugh about this someday. Now I am really excited about exploring Rome. So get a good night's sleep because tomorrow we are going to explore as much as we can of this wonderful city." And in that moment, I realized that my mother is the only superhero I know. There's no other superhero in my life. Yes. And till today, I reflect on that evening and I look at my mother and I realize that she's a gift and I need to cherish this gift for as long as God lets this gift be with me. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you are able to reflect on your own life stories, it's not just about business, not just about pitching your startup better. Your relationships also become richer because you are able to spot something great in an otherwise mundane day. And that is why I truly believe in stories and storytelling. And you know, there's a American writer named Ira Glass. He once said that great stories happen to those who can narrate them. That's it from me. Thanks a lot.
A wonderful hands-on workshop. Also shedding some light on how impactful it is to pitch your business through powerful storytelling. Also, the key takeaways for me were crafting stories through, keeping in mind 4 key aspects, that is problem, realization, resolution, and opportunity, and various techniques such as MAP and PPF. Thank you so much. Thank you. As a token, I now request Mr. Bhaskar Kalalia along with our new charter members to present the memento.
Also, fantastic hosting by Spruti. So a big round of applause for Spruti as well. Any guesses who's the winner? Of course, all of you are winners, no doubt about that. Which team? Team 3? All right, that is correct. It is Team 3 which is the winner for today. As you want from this. Okay, a big round of applause for the 3 ladies.
Right, so I think we've moved away from, as I said, we've moved away from the traditional just hearing founders after founders and after founders, right? So it is about time that I should say we're tired of hearing only successful founders for any of these sessions like what we had today. Back in 2014, and this is about our current venture that my wife and I are running right now. Back in 2014, we happened to have a trip to Italy. And my wife and I, both of us are avid travelers. And that usually, and I'm a very good planner. So before I go on any trip, I plan where I'm going to stay and what I'm going to do, what are the places we want to see, et cetera, et cetera. But that particular trip, for whatever reason, we said we are just not going to plan anything. We're just going to go. And we landed in Rome, and then we and we said we are going to drive around Italy. So we went down to the southern tip of Italy, or a southern city of Italy called the Sorrento. Sorrento is the name of the city, which is right at the southern tip of, almost at the southern tip of Italy. And it also has a great food culture because of it being in the Mediterranean Sea. It has a lot of influence of the food culture from other Mediterranean nations around the Mediterranean Sea. What we did was we rented a car and we just drove up the coast, right? So 4 of us, my wife, myself, and our 2 sons. And we had no plans of, no itinerary at all. We just drove. And wherever we liked, we stopped. Whether it was a coast, and we went through some vineyards, had some great wine to taste, right? And in the night, when it was, the night fell, we said we are not going to go into regular hotels or whatever. And a couple of times it was very, very small villages. They didn't speak English, we didn't speak Italian. But the restaurants, the local mom and pop restaurants, they cooked such fantastic Italian food, and all 4 of us were vegetarians as well, right? And it took a little time for us to figure out or communicate that we are vegetarians and we don't want any meat, etc. And they were so hospitable. They allowed us to go into their kitchen, and they allowed my wife to see what was happening. They allowed my wife to talk to them, collect recipes, and so on and so forth. And we stayed in some very nice Airbnb, right? So in 2014, an absolutely unplanned, trip, so as to speak. And then we drove all the way up to Florence, Leaning Tower of Pisa. Then we took a train to Venice and came back. And then that journey was such a phenomenal journey for us. We came back, and then we had lived in the US for 20 odd years, and we lived in a place which was very close to Napa Valley. Napa Valley was, is a wine country essentially. All right, so we were already hooked on to wine, a good wine, and now with this Italian food that we tasted, and we started to love the Italian food along with the Italian wine. And guess what happened? We came back and we said, Mysore needs a fine dine Italian and Mediterranean restaurant that doesn't exist. There is no fine dine Italian restaurant in Mysore, right? And that to an independent fine dining restaurant does not exist. You have, Radisson Blu, it has a very fine restaurant, but attached to a hotel. You have Southern Star, it has a nice restaurant attached to a hotel. You have, whatever, let's say Metropole, nice restaurant attached to a hotel, but there is no independently standing restaurant. That is where we said we want to bring something to Mysore of that kind, a fine dining Italian restaurant. But then we felt time was not right. Right? So I'm now going through what you said about the problem statement and the realization and what a solution. Then we said the Mysore city was, as a people, were not ready to accept something like that. Right? So we waited and we waited and we waited. And 2 years ago, we felt Mysore had changed. Thanks to Bangalore-Mysore highway, work from home, etc., etc. We said, Mysore has changed. This is probably the right time for us to jump into it. Huge risk. Satish Ramana, very Satish. Satish said he's 62 years old, right? So I'm 61, so I'm just 1 year younger to him, right? So huge risk for us to attempt something, and then we were looking where we wanted to create a European setting as well, right? So it was just not a restaurant in a 4 closed door or 4 closed walls, etc., etc. And then we said the only way to find out whether we are on the right track or not is to launch it. And this was 2 years ago. We started looking for a place. We found a place that we liked. We really wanted, very old heritage house. And then we spent a lot of money in renovating it to the liking of what we wanted in terms of giving a Mediterranean and Italian look and feel to it. And absolutely different from anything that you would see in Mysore or even Bangalore, I can guarantee you that today. Right? And then we launched it August 29th of last year. And it has been very, very slow for the first 3-4 months because people were not used to something like that. But now it is warming up. It's word of mouth. But as the last point in his slide was about the opportunity. And we were never restaurateurs, by the way. Right? So both my wife and I come from IT background. Right? So she's from HR background in IT companies, and I come from totally IT background as well. But we took that jump. We said, here is an opportunity for us to probably make something happen. And we took a leap of faith, and we are doing it, and we are very, 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 very happy and pleased with the way things have gone because we get very positive feedback from people when they come and when the guests come in and they enjoy the food. Along the way, what we are realizing, so many gaps in the restaurant industry. Those are opportunities. They are just not service opportunities. There are product opportunities within the restaurant business. right? So I can literally, on my fingertips right now, count 4 or 5 opportunities that people can pick it up and run with it, right? Or some of them are now, we are working on it as well, right? They're huge opportunities. And last thing that I want to talk about is both my wife and I, when we go, and these individual guests they're all customers, right? Unlike I'm sorry I'm taking a little bit of time, but I hope you guys can relate to what he was saying and what I'm trying to say. We meet with each and every customer, that not every, each and every, but as much as possible, we make a conversation with them. We talk to them. We figure out what they like, what they didn't like, right? And when we do that, we narrate the story to them. So that is when the connection happens. Every time we narrate this story, they ask, they said, how did you come about this idea? And we start that. I must have narrated the story at least about 300 times over the last 6 months. I'm not kidding. So has my wife. And finally, about 4 months ago, we said, it would be very nice to have the story written on a table mat. If you come to our restaurant, on the table mat, we have put the story, right? And put my wife's name and my name right there, because it personalizes it. It suddenly now people are able to connect, and those people who have traveled to Italy or they've traveled to other European countries, they can relate to it immediately, saying, yeah, we see what you're doing. Right? So I don't know if I'm going out of line telling you all this story, but I hope it resonates something with what Sachin was trying to say. Don't be shy about narrating your story. And to his point when he said, keep repeating it. And we are getting better at it. Right? And the more you narrate it, obviously, you're not lying. You're talking about from your heart. You talk to your guests, and it establishes that connection with them. And almost every person or every group of people or guests that come in, when we narrate these stories, and they also relate something back very, very similar. And when we ask them, can you please give us a review, or can you leave your number behind with us, etc., they won't even hesitate for a second. So we are now building a CRM database itself. Right? So everything is interconnected. So storytelling is not necessarily just for pitching. Storytelling is also engaging with your customers, whether you are in a B2C environment or a B2B environment. B2C is a lot more difficult because now you have to spend so much more time to do that storytelling again and again and again and again. But the more you do it, the better you get it. And it works wonderfully. And by the way, the name of the restaurant is the Sorrento. So thank you so very much. Most well. It's vegetarian though. I have to. So. Thank you so very much. Right. So anyway, thank you so very much, Sachin. Right. So I'm 100 about, and you had mentioned out here. I think it's one of a kind, and thank you very much again. Right. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this wonderful event. Every story shared lives an echo, and today we have heard echoes that will linger long after, even after the applaud fades. On behalf of TiE Mysuru chapter, I would like to express a sincere gratitude to Mr. Sachin Bhandary, founder, the Story Co. and Story Club, for accepting our proposal and joining us for this event. A special thanks for sharing your invaluable narratives with us all. Your candid insights, coupled with your inspiring stories, have undoubtedly left a lasting impression on everyone in this room. I wholeheartedly thank Mr. Bhaskar Kalale, President of TiE Mysuru chapter, for gracing this event with his presence. I would like to extend a special thanks to Mr. Anil Kumar for introducing the speaker. We are grateful to all the members, associate members, and student members of TiE Foundational Series for curating such a stimulating website launch and workshop. This insightful workshop has not only illuminated the art and impact of powerful storytelling, but has also served as a profound source of inspiration for aspiring storytellers and communicators, myself included. I extend my gratefulness to all the other dignitaries and guests who have significantly contributed in making this event a memorable one. This evening has truly been a remarkable success, and I am confident that it will serve as a catalyst for many aspiring entrepreneurs in our midst. Thank you once again to all the dignitaries, organizers, and audience. Thank you all.
I hope each one of us is leaving with some meaningful insights and fresh perspectives from this workshop. So thank you all for being such a wonderful audience, and I now invite every one of you for the networking IT. Thank you. Thank you.